Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where everyday coins become extraordinary treasures. If you've ever walked past a penny on the ground, thinking it's not worth the effort to bend down and pick it up, today's video might just change your mind forever, because we're taking a deep dive into one of the most overlooked yet potentially valuable coins in the United States, the 1981 Lincoln cent. That's right, we're talking about the humble 1-cent coin, the one with Abraham Lincoln's face that's probably sitting unnoticed in your jar of change right now. But under the right conditions, this tiny copper coin can be worth a massive amount of money, and we'll tell you exactly how. And why.so get comfortable, stay with us till the end, and you'll find out how one specific 1981 Lincoln penny shocked the numismatic world with its value. Let's begin this coin journey. Let's start with a bit of background. The Lincoln cent has been an iconic part of American currency since 1909, when it was introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and it has remained in circulation for over a century. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original portrait of Lincoln has become one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. By 1981, the Lincoln penny had already gone through decades of changes, from the composition of the metal, to the mint marks, and even small design tweaks that most people never notice. But here's the twist: 1981 was the final full year that the U.S. Mint struck the Lincoln cent primarily using a 95% copper composition. Starting in 1982, the Mint transitioned to a cheaper copper-coated zinc format, which completely changed the coin's weight, sound, and long-term durability. That detail alone makes 1981 an important year for Lincoln pennies. But when you combine that with the possibility of minting errors, low production variants, and high-condition specimens, you get a perfect storm of collector interest. So what makes a 1981 Lincoln penny valuable? Let's start with mint marks. In 1981, Lincoln cents were produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. The San Francisco Mint primarily created proof coins, coins made for collectors with an ultra-shiny, mirror-like finish and extra design detail. Some of these proofs accidentally entered circulation, making them incredibly rare to find in everyday change. One of the biggest value boosters for any coin is condition. Collectors use a grading system that goes from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 70, mint state, is considered flawless: no scratches, no wear, and perfect luster. Finding a 1981 penny in high grade is difficult because most have been heavily circulated, thrown in jars, or passed through countless transactions. A coin that still shines like it just left the mint is a very rare discovery, but what really pushes the 1981 penny into high-value territory are the error coins, and this is where things get exciting. First up, double die errors. This type of error happens when the coin die, the tool used to stamp the design, shifts slightly between strikes, creating a ghost-like doubling on the letters or numbers. Look closely at Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date, 1981. If the letters or numbers appear to be shadowed or doubled, you could be holding a very rare coin. Next, off-center strikes. These are easy to spot. The coin's design will appear shifted or partially missing, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side. The more dramatic the error, like 50% off-center with a full date visible, the more collectors are willing to pay. There are also die cracks, planchet flaws, and strikes on the wrong metal. Imagine finding a 1981 penny that was mistakenly struck on a dime-sized blank. It happens, and when it does, it's like finding a golden ticket. Now, here's an often overlooked tip: flip the coin over. The reverse of the 1981 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. At a glance, it looks the same as every penny from 1959 to 2008. But on certain error coins, parts of the design might be missing, faded, or malformed. Look closely at the columns of the memorial, the lettering in United States of America, or the 1 cent at the bottom. Imperfections here can be worth hundreds, or even thousands, to the right collector. And don't forget, 1981 is the last full year before the metal composition changed. That means many collectors seek high-grade examples to complete their copper-era sets. The demand is there, but the supply of mint-condition 1981 pennies with rare features is dwindling. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic coins in American history, a tiny piece of copper that might just be hiding a massive secret. We're talking about the 1961 Lincoln penny. It's more than just a coin, it could be a ticket to a serious payday. Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about a penny from 1961? After all, we see pennies every day, right? They're tossed into jars, dropped under couches, and handed out in change without a second thought. But here's the twist, some 1961 Lincoln pennies are not ordinary at all. In fact, a rare version of this coin has stunned collectors and dealers with its eye-popping value. Before we reveal just how much this coin can be worth, let's take a journey back in time and uncover the fascinating story behind it. The year was 1961. The United States was in the heart of the Cold War, John F. Kennedy was in the White House, and the space race was heating up. Amid all this excitement, the U.S. Mint continued producing the humble Lincoln cent, a coin that had already been in circulation since 1909. This wasn't just any coin, it featured the longest-running portrait in American coinage, Abraham Lincoln, the beloved 16th President of the United States. Now, even though the design remained consistent, the details that matter most to collectors are often hidden in plain sight, like the condition of the coin, the mint mark, and sometimes even tiny, unintentional errors that occur during the minting process. Let's talk about what the 1961 penny actually looks like. On the front side, or obverse, we see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, facing to the right. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust," with "Liberty" to the left and the year, 1961, to the right. If you look closely, some coins have a small "D" under the year, indicating they were minted in Denver. Others, without the "D," were minted in Philadelphia. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse design. The words, "United States of America," curve along the top, with "E Pluribus Unum" tucked just above the memorial itself. At the bottom, the denomination is clearly written, 1 cent. At a glance, these coins seem ordinary. But as every seasoned coin hunter knows, it's the small differences that can make all the difference. Here's where things get interesting. Most 1961 pennies are common and were struck in massive numbers, more than 1 billion, in fact. But only a fraction have survived in perfect condition. And it's not just about being old, it's about being flawless. Collectors are obsessed with coins in what's called mint state. These are coins that show no signs of wear, as if they just left the mint yesterday. A 1961 Lincoln penny in pristine, untouched condition, graded highly by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, can sell for impressive sums. But wait, it gets better. Some of these coins were struck with very subtle errors, tiny mistakes made during the minting process that went unnoticed by the mint but are highly prized by collectors. These might include things like doubling of the letters or numbers, off-center strikes, or even planchet errors where the metal was flawed before it was even stamped. One especially desirable variety is the 1961 double die obverse. This error causes slight doubling in the lettering, especially visible in words like "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." These errors are extremely rare and can push the value of the coin into unbelievable territory, especially when combined with a perfect or near-perfect grade. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, that sounds pretty cool, but what's the real value of one of these coins? Then keep watching, because this is where things get real. Imagine this, you're going through an old collection of coins passed down by a grandparent. You spot a 1961 Lincoln penny. At first, it looks like nothing special. But then you notice it has no scratches, no dings. Maybe even a strange doubling on the lettering. You send it in for grading, and it comes back mint state 67 red or higher, with a rare double die variety. Now, you're holding more than just a penny. You're holding a collector's dream. One such coin, in extraordinary condition, with the right rarity and error, has sold for as much as $89,000. Yes, you heard that right, $89,000 for a single, 1 cent coin. So next time you see a penny lying on the ground or rattling around in a drawer, don't ignore it. Give it a closer look. It might be from 1961. It might have a rare mint error. And it might be your ticket to a small fortune. Today, we're about to reveal an incredible story about a small, humble coin that holds a secret treasure inside it. If you think all pennies are just pocket change, think again. The 1966 Lincoln penny might just be the one coin that could make you a small fortune, and in this video, we're going to uncover why this seemingly ordinary cent is anything but. Stick with us till the end, and we'll reveal exactly how much this penny could be worth. Let's rewind to 1966, a year that stands out in American history for more than just the iconic coins minted that year. The United States was in the middle of a cultural revolution. The Vietnam War was raging, and the civil rights movement was in full swing. It was a year of change, both politically and socially, and even the currency was evolving. But amongst all of this, the 1966 Lincoln penny was quietly circulating in millions, almost unnoticed by the average person, yet for coin collectors, it's a coin that can potentially turn your change jar into something spectacular. Now, you may ask, what makes this penny special? Well, let's dive deeper into the details and history of the 1966 Lincoln penny to understand what makes it a potential goldmine. Like all U.S. pennies, the 1966 Lincoln penny features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front side. It's one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. Lincoln's face is framed by the words, "In God We Trust," with "Liberty" to the left and "1966" to the right. If you flip the coin over, you'll see the familiar design of the Lincoln Memorial, which has adorned the reverse of the penny since 1959. But here's the thing, while the design itself hasn't changed much over the years, the rarity and condition of these coins are what make them so valuable to collectors. In 1966, the U.S. Mint produced a massive number of pennies, and most of them were circulated widely in commerce. However, as time went on, these pennies became harder to find in mint condition, especially as they got older. For most collectors, it's the quality that matters. Coins in pristine condition are far more valuable than those that have been battered and worn over time. The more pristine, the higher the value. But there's another important factor: rare errors or variations. This is where the 1966 penny really stands out. The 1966 Lincoln penny is known for a particular type of minting error that has caused quite a stir in the numismatic community. While the 1966 penny is not rare by itself, certain varieties and mint errors make it significantly more valuable. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1966 Lincoln penny is the double die obverse. This error occurs when the die used to stamp the coin was misaligned, resulting in a doubling effect on the coin's design. The most noticeable feature of this error is the doubling in the word "Liberty" and the motto, "In God We Trust." For collectors, this subtle error can make the coin extremely desirable. Finding a 1966 penny with a double die error in unblemished condition can be like finding a hidden gem in a pile of loose change. Additionally, certain 1966 pennies are known to have been struck on wrong planchets, coins that were mistakenly minted using the wrong type of metal or planchet, causing them to look slightly different from standard pennies. This kind of error is rare and can make these coins extremely valuable in the right condition. So, how much is a 1966 penny worth? Well, most of them are still worth just 1 cent or a few dollars, depending on the quality. However, when you factor in minting errors and rarity, the value can skyrocket, and here's where it gets really exciting. The most valuable 1966 Lincoln pennies can fetch prices in the tens of thousands of dollars, especially when they feature one of these rare errors. A mint state 1966 double die obverse penny, graded by professionals as being in pristine condition, has been known to sell for as much as $85,000. Yes, you heard that right, $85,000 for a single penny. This is a perfect example of how small details, combined with rarity and condition, can make a huge difference in the value of a coin. Now, if you're wondering if you have one of these rare pennies sitting in your collection or hidden away in your coin jar, it's important to remember that not every 1966 penny is worth thousands of dollars. The key factors are condition, rarity, and those special minting errors that make some of these coins stand out. If you think you might have one of these valuable 1966 Lincoln pennies, here are a few tips for determining if you have a rare one. Look for doubling. If you can clearly see doubling in the inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," you might have a double die obverse penny. Check the mint mark. The 1966 penny can have a mint mark from either Philadelphia, no mint mark, or Denver. The letter D. Certain errors can occur more frequently at one minting location. Get it professionally graded. If you think you have something special, it's worth sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin and determine its true value. To all the coin collectors out there, keep your eyes peeled. Even a single penny, like the 1966 Lincoln cent, could be hiding an incredible value that you never expected. Who knew that a penny could hold such a big surprise? Today we're going to prove that theory with a little gem that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 1960 Lincoln penny, a coin that might just be sitting in your collection, waiting for its moment to shine. Now, most of us encounter pennies every day, tossing them into jars or tossing them aside without a second thought. But here's the thing, not all pennies are created equal. Some, like the 1960 Lincoln penny, are quietly sitting in circulation with the potential to be worth a fortune. So, let's go back in time to 1960, a year that holds historical significance for many reasons. It was the dawn of the space age, and President Dwight D. Eisenhower was in the White House. The U.S. was transitioning into a new era of politics, technology, and culture. And during all this, the U.S. Mint was busy producing millions of pennies, one of which would eventually become an object of immense value. At first glance, the 1960 Lincoln penny may not seem extraordinary. It has the same classic design that we've all seen before. The obverse, or front, features the well-known portrait of Abraham Lincoln, framed by the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." Below Lincoln's portrait is the year, 1960, the year this particular penny was minted. On the reverse side, we see the Lincoln Memorial, which has adorned the back of the penny since 1959. It's simple, it's timeless, and it's what you might expect from any standard penny, but don't be fooled. While this coin may seem like every other penny you've seen, some 1960 Lincoln pennies are hiding rare characteristics that make them incredibly valuable enough to potentially make you thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. You might be asking, what makes the 1960 penny so special? Great question, and here's where it gets really interesting. First, let's talk about minting errors. Throughout the minting process, small mistakes can occur. These errors can turn a standard coin into a rare, highly sought-after collector's item. The 1960 Lincoln penny is a prime example. You see, the 1960 penny was produced in large numbers, but not all of them were made correctly. Some pennies were struck with doubling errors, known as the double die obverse. So, what exactly is a double die obverse? It's a minting error where the die used to strike the coin was misaligned during the process, resulting in doubling of the lettering on the front of the coin. On the 1960 Lincoln penny, this error is most noticeable in the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." When you look at a double die penny under magnification, you'll see that the letters appear slightly doubled, giving the coin a unique, almost blurry look. This subtle error can make the 1960 penny far more valuable than a regular one. Now, you might be thinking, how rare is this error? Well, the 1960 double die obverse is not super common, but it's far from impossible to find. It's one of those mistakes that wasn't noticed at the time of minting but has become a holy grail for coin collectors ever since. Then, there's the condition of the coin. Like all coins, the value of a 1960 Lincoln penny is heavily influenced by its condition. If you find a penny in mint state, meaning it shows no signs of wear, no scratches, or imperfections, it will be worth significantly more than one that has been circulated for decades. And when you find a 1960 Lincoln penny with that rare double die obverse in mint state, you've got something really special. In fact, a well-preserved, high-grade 1960 Lincoln double die obverse penny has been known to sell for prices that will blow your mind. Hold on tight because we're about to reveal the mind-blowing value of this seemingly simple penny. A 1960 Lincoln penny with the double die obverse error, especially one in top-tier condition, can sell for a staggering $92,000. Yes, you heard that right, $92,000 for just one penny. That's the power of rarity, history, and the fascinating world of minting errors. A single coin that may have been casually tossed into a jar for decades could be worth a small fortune if it's the right one. If you think you might have one of these rare 1960 Lincoln pennies sitting in your collection, here's how you can tell. Look closely at the coin and examine the lettering. Is there noticeable doubling on the word Liberty or In God We Trust? If so, you could have a double die obverse coin on your hands. Next, check the condition. Is it in mint state? If it looks like it's in great shape and hasn't been worn down, you're in luck. If you think you found something special, it's always a good idea to have it professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. They can determine its authenticity, provide a grade, and even help you understand its true value. Now, if you don't have a 1960 Lincoln penny with that rare minting error, don't worry. There are plenty of other valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. In the world of numismatics, it's always worth keeping an eye out for those hidden treasures. If you enjoyed learning about the 1960 Lincoln penny and want to discover more about rare coins, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss out on our next treasure hunt. Today we're diving into a penny from 1967 that has some serious potential. This isn't just any old 1-cent coin. The 1967 Lincoln penny might be hiding something extraordinary that could turn it into a small fortune. That's right, a penny that could be worth more than $90,000. Before you dismiss it as just another penny you find in your pocket, let's take a closer look at why the 1967 Lincoln penny might be the next big find you'll want to hold on to. Let's rewind to 1967 for a moment. This was a year of immense cultural and political change. In the U.S., the Vietnam War was in full swing, and the civil rights movement was making strides toward justice and equality. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was busy producing millions of pennies, one of which would quietly become a highly sought-after collectible in the years to come. Now, when most people think of pennies, they think of something insignificant, something you toss into the jar or drop on the ground without a second thought. But did you know that certain pennies, like the 1967 Lincoln penny, can be worth much more than face value? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and sometimes, a little bit of luck. Let's first talk about what makes the 1967 penny stand out. Like all Lincoln pennies, the obverse, front side, features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Around the rim, you'll see the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," with the date, 1967, to the right of Lincoln's profile. On the reverse, back, of the coin, you'll find the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial, the symbol of American unity and strength, with "United States of America" above and "E Pluribus Unum" beneath. The denomination, 1 cent, is also clearly displayed at the bottom. At first glance, it looks like just another penny. But here's the catch: this coin was struck during a time of transition in the U.S. Mint. While the design itself remained the same, the condition of the coin and some rare errors have made certain 1967 pennies worth far more than their face value. So, what exactly makes the 1967 Lincoln penny so valuable? The answer lies in errors that occurred during the minting process. These errors are typically mistakes made while striking the coins, tiny flaws or imperfections that weren't caught by the mint at the time of production. Over the years, these errors have become highly prized by collectors because they make the coin unique. And in the case of the 1967 penny, one particular error has collectors buzzing. The most famous and valuable error associated with the 1967 Lincoln penny is the double die obverse. This occurs when the coin die strikes the planchet, the flat metal disc used to make the coin, multiple times, creating a doubling effect on the letters and numbers of the coin. On the 1967 Lincoln penny, the most noticeable place this happens is in the word Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust." If you take a close look under magnification, you'll see that the letters appear double, almost like they've been stamped twice. This is the mark of a double die, a rare minting mistake that makes the coin exceptionally valuable. Now, let's be clear, not every 1967 penny has this error. Most of them are just standard coins worth their face value, or maybe a few cents more in certain conditions. But when you find a 1967 penny with this double die error, the value skyrockets, especially if the coin is in high-grade condition. the key here is finding a well-preserved penny that features the double die error. Coins in mint condition, ones that show no signs of wear, scratches, or damage, are worth far more than those that have been circulated extensively. And when you pair that pristine condition with a double die error, the coin can become a collector's dream. So, how much could a 1967 Lincoln penny with a double die error and mint grade condition be worth? Hold on to your seats because we're about to reveal the mind-blowing figure. A top-grade 1967 Lincoln penny with a double die obverse error has been known to sell for an impressive $90,000, yes, you heard that right, $90,000 for a penny. That's the kind of value some of these rare and perfect condition coins can achieve. It's a reminder that not all coins are just worth their face value. Some coins are hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right collector to spot them and recognize their potential. Now, you might be wondering if you've got one of these rare 1967 Lincoln pennies in your collection. Here's what to look for. First, examine the lettering carefully. If you notice any doubling, especially in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," you may have a double die penny on your hands. Next, take a look at the condition of the coin. Is it in great shape? Does it have minimal wear? The better the condition, the more valuable it is. If you think you have a rare coin, it's always a good idea to send it off to a professional grading service, like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin and assign it a grade, which will help determine its true value. It's truly amazing to think that something as small and unassuming as a 1967 Lincoln penny could be worth such an astronomical amount. That's the magic of rare coins and the world of numismatics. If you've been holding on to old pennies or have a jar full of coins lying around, it's worth going through them carefully, because you never know when you might find something truly special. So, the next time you come across a 1967 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to inspect it. It could be the start of an incredible coin collection, or even the discovery of a $90,000 penny waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins, rare finds, and the fascinating world of numismatics, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on any future treasure hunts. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones we least expect.